Hey, thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Kaylee, and this is a Read Rant Review, where, you guessed it, I read a bunch of crazy books, and then I tell you all about it. Today we are, today we're going to be talking about a book written by Colleen Hoover's best friend, Tarynn Fisher. The book is called The Wives. It was published on December 30th, 2019, 295 pages, and currently on Goodreads, it's sitting at a 3.66 with a little over 240,000 ratings. I'll go ahead and read you the book description so you know what we're getting into. I'll give you a little disclaimer, and then I'll give you a beat by beat, chapter by chapter breakdown where we get to experience this together. And I'm only 7 chapters in right now as of recording, so I'm just getting you caught up to where I'm at, and then we'll experience the back half of this book. Yep. It'll be great. I'm actually genuinely so excited for this because I have heard nothing good about this book. And if it wasn't obvious, this is probably not going to be a glowing review. So obviously don't keep watching. Do not watch this. If you're the author, friends, fans, family, or stans of the author, go ahead and click off this video. I have one rule and one rule only on this channel. Say it with me. Don't make it weird. If you love this book or love this author, I love that for you. I'll catch you in the next video, you know? So the book description, Thursday, that's her name. Thursday's husband, Seth, has 2 other wives. She's never met them, and she doesn't know anything about them. She agreed to this unusual arrangement because she's so crazy about him. But one day, she finds something that tells a very different and horrifying story about the man she married. What follows is one of the most twisted, shocking thrillers you've ever read. You'll have to grab a copy to find out why. Okay, I don't like that last sentence. So this is, okay, genuinely though, this is a great book description because it doesn't give away the whole plot. I feel like so many of the book descriptions I've read lately tells you the whole book. It feels like watching a movie trailer, you know, where I'm like, oh, great, you just told me everything I need to know. But this book description is only up until chapter 6, like right where I am right now. Yeah, that's actually pretty solid. So I still don't know what the heck we're about to get into. Oh, wait, actually, so in the beginning of the book, there's like the description on here. Oh, maybe this one will give it away. Hold on, we'll see. Let's compare. Imagine that your husband has 2 other wives. I'd rather not. You've never met the other wives. None of you know each other, and because of this unconventional arrangement, you can see your husband only 1 day a week. Couldn't be me. But you love him so much you don't care. Couldn't love him enough. Or at least that's what you've told yourself. But one day, while you're doing laundry, you find a scrap of paper in his pocket, an appointment reminder for a woman named Hannah, and you just know it's another one of the wives. You thought you were fine with your arrangement, but you can't help yourself. You track her down, and under false pretenses, you strike up a friendship. Hannah has no idea who you really are. Then Hannah starts showing up to your coffee dates with telltale bruises, and you realize she's being abused by her husband, who, of course, is also your husband, but you've never known him to be violent ever. Ugh, not how that works. Who exactly is your husband, and how far would you go to find the truth? Would you risk your own life? And who is his mysterious 3rd wife? Okay, that's still a nothing burger. I mean, we learn a little bit about her relationship with Hannah, but even I know that by now. So those are pretty good, actually. And also, by the way, you know, I wasn't even joking when I told you that this is Colleen Hoover's best friend. It's dedicated for Colleen. And also, they co-wrote the book Never Never together, and I have a really long deep dive of that. I'll go ahead and like link it up here. Ugh. That one almost took me out. That one, genuinely, I looked up summaries of it and only read summaries, like Spark Note summaries of the last chapters of that book because I physically could not continue. It's like 600 plus pages. It was really bad. It was really bad. Also, real quick shout out to all of the audio listeners over on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I appreciate you guys so much. You guys are popping off over there. And if you didn't know, I do upload these videos over on those platforms if that's easier for you. And then also, shout out to all of the like patrons, book besties, Bindery supporters, all of that stuff. So much appreciate each and every single one of you. And also, if you're just watching this, shout out to you. Thanks for being here, man. Appreciate ya. You're probably not gonna like me after we spend the next 2 hours together talking about this insanity, but we're here, you know what I mean? Like, take my hand. We're here together. We're experiencing this together. Don't be mad at me bad at the book. Let's dive right in. To be honest, chapter 1 of this book, we are in Thursday's perspective, and she is reflecting on her husband coming to visit her because it is Thursday. Just happens to be the day of the week that he comes and visits her. And this is literally the only day he spends with her. It's like Thursday and Friday, but Friday he works and then he goes home. And so it's basically, yeah, one day a week with her husband. And so it's a very, very big deal. And so all of chapter 1 is her preparing for him to arrive. And by page 9, I almost knock over the vase of flowers as I place the fork next to a plate, a bouquet of the palest pink roses. I chose them for their sexual innuendo because when you're in a position like mine, being on top of your sexual game is of the utmost importance. Look at these delicate pink petals. Do they make you think of my good? And that's like the least inappropriate thing for me to read out loud to you. This was like horny from the jump, dude. I said, good God. Good God. 5 days is a long time to go without the man you love. In my youth, I considered love a burden. How could you get anything done when you had to consider someone else every second of the day? When I met Seth, that all went out the window. I became my mother, doting, yielding. Oh, I forgot. This is why I highlighted it. Spread eagle emotionally and sexually. It both thrilled and revolted me. Okay, so anyway, after getting to know Thursday's prerogative here, other things to know. The other wives are named Monday and Tuesday. Seth was married Tuesday first. Monday was married to Seth later. It was like Tuesday, Thursday, Monday in terms of like number of wives. And in case you were curious, I will have a name thing going up here just so you can keep track of all the craziness that I'm going to be spewing out. So if you get confused, that'll be up there. So the reason too that he has all these wives is Seth is Mormon. He's from Utah. His dad had multiple wives, and it was one of those like they all live together wives, and he didn't like the dynamic and he didn't like any of that. And so he wants to be different, but he still wants to practice polygamy. And so in doing so, he has all these wives, he keeps them separate, they don't know anything about each other. And also to kind of keep them separate, Monday and Tuesday live in Portland, Oregon, and then Thursday lives in Seattle, Washington, which I guess is like a little bit away from each other, hour and a half maybe? Am I making that number up? I don't know. Could I Google it? I'm not going to. We're going to go with my lies. But Monday is pregnant. We get a lot of information dumped in this beginning part, so I'm just going to kind of like hot goss orient you into what's going on. So Monday is pregnant, and Thursday had to have an emergency hysterectomy, and so she is unable to have kids. And then Seth's first wife also unable to have kids, and hence him also like another reason for him to have multiple wives. Thursday was supposed to be the baby-making, baby-having wife. Didn't work out. So then he married the younger other lady Monday. Okay? So she's pregnant. She's about to have the kid. And this is adding a really, really awkward dynamic between them. And Thursday is just incredibly jealous that she can't give him what he wants, right? Like she can't be enough for him. But then she also beats herself up because she's like, I know what I signed up for. Like, and I quote, This was a wild quote, by the way. I love him so much, and despite the awful uniqueness of our situation, I can't imagine being married to anyone else. And that's what love is about, isn't it? Working with what your partner came with. And mine came with 2 other women. But also he didn't, because he was only married to the one woman when you guys met. So that doesn't make any sense. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, really, really complicated relationship here. Again, she harbors a lot of jealousy and a lot of just really negative feelings toward herself for being unable to have this kid, and also for her husband literally only being here for 1 day a week. And she has her best friend Anna, who she doesn't tell anything to and can't be open with because she's afraid of people judging her and judging her lifestyle. And it's the same thing with like her mom. Her mom comes over and visits her one of these days and is very encouraging of her maybe moving to Portland to be closer to Seth. or maybe getting pregnant so then he can't leave you, because she hasn't even told her mom about the hysterectomy. She hasn't opened up to anybody about anything going on in her life because she's like ashamed of all of these things. And it is objectively really, really sad. Like, what a crappy position to be in. But also, she knew what she was getting into when she had first married him. She is a nurse, so she is working at a hospital throughout this book. She's making good money. She's living in a high-rise in Seattle. I don't know. Part of me has like a hard time feeling bad, but I guess like it gets talked about so much, right? Like, I love him so much, so much. Isn't this what you do for love? It's so crazy how much I'm obsessed with him. He had told her, I love you all differently but equally. I wanted to know what that meant, the specifics. Was it sexual? Why is that the first one? Emotional? And if he had to choose, if he had a gun to his head, would he pick me? Which I feel like you cannot feel that way when you're in a type of relationship like this. Mother's here, visits, tries to tell Thursday, hey, you should baby trap your husband so he spends more time with you. And also he goes between the two cities because he works for something. He does some type of like real estate construction stuff. And so he goes between the two cities. And so that's why they're doing this like semi-weird long distance thing, because he has to go to Seattle 2 days out of the week. Interesting. Okay, I guess. So Thursday's very offended that her mom would even hint at the idea of baby trapping. Like, how terrible is that? I'm not doing that. But I have high morals or whatever. So the mom, she's like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to overstep, and then leaves. Thursday just continues spiraling. She has to take an Ambien to go to sleep. And I highlighted that specifically because I said, oh no. I don't know anybody who has ever taken that and not had the worst horrible experiences ever. I feel like I'm sure plenty of people have good experiences with it. You just never hear about it. So I was like, oh, that doesn't bode well. That does not bode well at all. I'm scared. She passes out for like 16 hours, wakes up to a bunch of text messages from Seth freaking out about not responding to him. She reassures him and she's like, no, I'm okay, I swear. Okay, we go on about our lives. She's cleaning his closet and finds a little piece of paper. We heard about it in the book description. She opens it up. It has Hannah's name on it, and it is to a like clinic, right, for pregnancy stuff. And it has her full name and address and stuff and whatnot. And she's like, oh, this has to be Monday, right? If this is like a OBGYN, this has to be Monday. This has to be her. I know her name now. And she looks her up on Facebook. First time she's ever gotten a name. First time she's ever seen this woman. And she is gorgeous. Thursday's incredibly, again, jealous and ashamed of the way that she looks. And she's like, I don't even know why Seth would be with me if there's this like hot blonde that he has. I'm just a girl next door pretty. I'm losing him. And she can give him a baby, blah, blah, blah. Wallow, wallow, wallow. Again, I have a hard time feeling bad because she can leave, right? She can leave at any point if she wasn't so madly obsessed with him. So I'm having a hard time supporting this character, okay? I'm not going to front with you. Off the bat, finds us out, sees Hannah, freaks out, goes back to sleep. Wakes up the next day. More missed calls from Seth. She picks up and he says, hey, you should come into town and spend some time with me. You should come and visit. We'll go on a hot date. This will be great. She is over the moon excited because, again, they don't ever see each other outside of Thursday and Friday. And so she's like, oh, he wants to see me? He's going to skip out on spending time with his other wives and picks me? Choose me. Pick me. What is the audio? You know what I'm talking about? Let me find the audio clip. Hold on.
So pick me. Choose me. Love me.
That's exactly how Thursday is. She's such a freaking pick-me about this. So she's like, off to Portland. I'm so excited, right? She packs. She's getting ready. She like packs the like cutest, little, most beautifulest things ever. She goes to a lingerie store on the way there just to like, you know, be cute. Well, while she's at the lingerie store, she says, hey, do you happen to know where so-and-so road is? It's the road Hannah lives on. Yeah, it's just like right outside of town, just like right down the road. Thanks. So she goes, she parks, she goes walking around the neighborhood. It's like in the city, and it's an older like historic neighborhood, so it's not weird to be walking around it in such a way. So she goes walking and she's admiring all these, happy families and these happy, gorgeous, beautiful homes. And then she finds Hannah's house and she stands outside of it, just staring, imagining like, this is so weird. She has this beautiful home and I live in a high rise. He must love her more because he bought her a house, but he only bought me a car. I must not be houseworthy. So while she's looking at this house, having all these weird thoughts, Hannah walks up on her. That sounded really aggressive. She like comes up and she's like, yeah, it's a nice house, isn't it? You should come inside. People ask for tours all the time. I don't mind showing you around. Thursday says, yeah, please do. This is crazy. She has no idea who I am. And this is like, she's like, I feel like I'm, breaking protocol. I'm breaking the law, but I can't help myself, right? She's a nosy little beezy. I would be too. I would never be in this situation in the first place, but if I was, I would be too. So, gorgeous lady, gorgeous house. Giving Thursday a little tour of it. There's no pictures anywhere. And Hannah's a photographer. And so Thursday's like, that's really weird though. You would think she would have like photos all up around this house and of her husband or something. Like, this is odd. It's just like barren. And speaking of that, I don't know anything about Seth. It was mentioned earlier, but I have this quote. Yeah, right here in chapter 1. Oh God, so this was established early. There are so many people I haven't met that are in Seth's life. Seth's parents, for example, and his childhood friends. A second wife, I may never have a chance. Because the first wife, who he's like legally married to Thursday, but like to all of his friends and family, he's only married or still married to Tuesday. I guess. And so she's like never met his family or his friends or anything. And she's just this like secret wife situation in another city. It like doesn't add up from the jump. I'm like, this is weird, which I guess is kind of the whole point of the book. But I don't know. So she's in Hannah's house and realizing like there's no other signs of Seth. She, high key, right, was trying to find more information about her husband. And so she's talking to Hannah, asking her about, how's life? What's going on? Like, how are things? And Hannah's talking about how they just finished renovating the house and how gorgeous it is, but it's been such a pain. And yeah, my husband's in construction and, he did all this stuff and we're so happy with it. And then that's where Thursday starts having the whole thoughts of like, oh, he spends all this time with her and giving her a home and doing all this, and he doesn't do anything for me. And as she is going to leave, right, after she gets the little tour, everything's cool. They exchange numbers because Hannah's new to the city and doesn't know anybody, and she only moved here to be with her husband. And she's just really looking forward to having a friend, right? Going out to lunch. Next time where I'm around, like, let's go hang out. Great. Cool. Upon Thursday, walking out the door, she looks down at the carpet. Something catches her eye. There's a huge shard of glass that came out of a picture frame. How did she know that, though? Hold on. How did you know? I see the shards of glass on the floor near the window, 2 inches long and jagged. I pick it up and hold it in my palm. There is an empty hook on the wall where a picture once hung. How would you... I guess you would just assume it's a picture frame on a thing that hung on the wall, I guess. I guess that's not crazy to think about, but it just feels like we're jumping around places. It could have just been a coincidence. That could just be a nail in the wall, but probably not if they just remodeled the house, right? Okay, I'll give that one to you. And so she notes this missing picture frame with this broken glass, hands the glass shard to Hannah, and as she's handing it to her, she sees that Hannah has a cluster of bruises on her wrist that looks like fingerprints. Or like, you know what I'm saying? Like bruises from being grabbed. I think about the bruises all the way back to my car. They had looked like finger marks, right? No, I tell myself, you're seeing things. Ignores the situation and goes to dinner with her husband. Okay. She goes to dinner. It's a little awkward. It's a little tense between the two of them. And so she ends up questioning more and more of his love for her and this whole baby thing. And again, we're getting kind of repetitive. I'm in chapter 6 and I'm already feeling a little repetitive here. But she kind of turns it on him and she's like, do you ever fight with your wives? Oh, because he's upset. Like there's something else going on. because they have never fought before. And she makes a note that it's because she's so like amenable. That is not the word that is used in the book, but she's so agreeable with everything that he wants to do. And she just does it, you know, she doesn't like question it. She doesn't push back on anything. So they have never, ever fought. Also, that is how you build resentment. That is not a good idea. And so he dodges the question. He's changing the topic. He doesn't want to tell her if he fights with his other wives. They continue going back and forth until it gets revealed that he will not take her on vacation. The only reason that he invited her to come and hang out with him for these extra days was to kind of smooth or soften the blow of him saying, hey, we can't go on vacation this year. This is like all she looks forward to, or these like annual vacations where she like wholly, fully gets him for like a chunk of time, where she's like his only focus. We have to cancel it this year because Monday is pregnant and that's a little bit too close to having the baby and I just don't want to risk it. So I'm so sorry. Blah, blah, blah. Obviously, Thursday is incredibly upset by this. Once she hears that he won't take her on vacation, she storms out. She is like super, super frustrated and goes to the hotel and passes out. And she decides that she wants to see Hannah as soon as possible to, I don't know, maybe get some more information, maybe live vicariously through her, maybe steal her baby. I don't know. This book could go anywhere at this point. When she goes out to her car the next day, like in the hotel, she leaves to drive back home. She ignored Seth all night, ignored all of his phone calls, but when she goes to her car, there's a bouquet of flowers in it. I don't think I like that. And so she ends up texting Hannah and asking to go to breakfast together. While they're there, they talk a little bit back and forth. Hannah reveals that she is pregnant. And then also, Hannah catches Thursday looking at those bruises again, looking at the bruises on her arm. They faded a little bit more. And she tries to deny it, like deny that anything is wrong and like nothing happened. He didn't mean it. He had grabbed me when I was walking away. It wasn't anything like that, you know. And then they go and talk about her being pregnant. But then Hannah opens up about how, yes, her husband is happy that she's pregnant because freaking Thursday asks outright how her husband feels about it, which I'm like, I don't know, whatever. She's like, I want to hear it from Monday's mouth or Hannah's mouth or whatever the hell this woman's name is. Asks if the husband's happy about it. She says yes, but there's something she's not saying. So then she just like spills the beans to Thursday and she says, he hides my birth control pills. Hello? How do you know he hides them? He's joked about it, and then, of course, my pills go missing. It's like when women poke holes in condoms to trap men with pregnancies, I say, shaking my head. But why would he want to trap you with a pregnancy? And it's because Hannah wanted to leave him. I stare at her beautiful face. Hannah is not who she seems. The perfect house, the perfect face, the perfect outfit, and then those bruises. I wanted to know her, understand her, but every second spent with her makes me more confused. A few hours ago, I was furious at Seth, and now, as I sit across from my husband's other wife, my anger transfers to her. Like, you're mad at her? I feel absolutely bipolar in my emotions. 1 minute distrusting one, then next the other. Hello? What does that mean? Why would she have agreed to all of this if not to have a child with him? That's why he added a wife, because I couldn't give him a child. Oh, okay. So then the implication being that why would Monday complain about being pregnant if that's the whole reason she was here, right? Ooh, unless he married her for other reasons. So Monday just reassures her. She's like, no, really, I'm fine. Or Hannah, God damn, that's going to grind my gears. I'm going to go back and forth. I'll try to catch myself, I promise. So Hannah reassures her. She's like, yeah, I'm fine. My husband's never, hit me before. I don't think he would do it again. It's all good. And she like scampers out of the coffee shop. I smile weakly at her as she waves goodbye. There's something off about Hannah Ovark, and I'm going to find out what it is. And that's where I stopped reading. Because you just saw her with bruises that she said was from her husband, and then now you're mad at her. Like, we're not off to a great start, y'all. We are not off to a great start. And we are 20% of the way through the story already? Nothing's happened. Oh, no. Okay, I'm gonna finish reading another chunk and I'll come back to you tomorrow with some updated information. What a weird book already. As we go into chapter 7, Thursday is still really upset, understandably. So it takes a couple days, still bummed out about all of this and growing ever more bitter and resentful against Seth for not hanging out with her, right? For not going on this vacation. And even when he calls her and reassures her and he's like, hey, no, seriously, like, I really don't want to do this, but I really have to be there for Monday, okay? I'm so sorry, but, I didn't think it would be this difficult having multiple wives. And Thursday's like, she literally laughs in his face over it because she's like, what did you expect to happen? Okay, right? So they're beefing for a little bit. It's whatever. Eventually he sees her, and so then she forgives him. And they bone it out, and now she's okay. Yay. She does open up to him, though, about her insecurities and tells him straight up. They end up having a little bit of an argument. And the only other thing to note about this chapter is after he makes the comment about thinking that he could have been like a better husband to multiple women or whatever weird thing he was going on about, she is thinking about how Seth doesn't really exist in her house. There's no photos or memories or anything. And I've learned this in a few more chapters, but I'm going to tell you right now, they've only been married for 2 years. And I don't even think married. I'm pretty sure that's like met. I'm pretty sure they've only known each other for 2 years. So that's even worse to all of the stuff that I was saying earlier about me having a hard time feeling bad for her with the information that we're given. But yeah, so he stays the night. They forgive, like I said, they like bone it out or whatever. But in the middle of the night, she wakes up because his phone goes off. She looks at his phone and it's a text message from a woman named Regina. And Thursday, she's like, this can't be a client. This is way too late to be a client. I wonder if this is Monday. No, I wonder if this is Tuesday. I wonder if this is Seth's first wife. She doesn't know her name, right? Like, she has no information about anything. And so she makes note, though. She's like, okay, Regina, I don't want to, but I'm going to have to. I'm going to end up stalking this woman as well. But if it is, in fact, Tuesday, that makes Thursday reflect on what it means to be the second wife, right? She's reflecting on everything that Seth had told her about how he and his first wife met and how he was head over heels for her and they met in school and then she went on to go and be a lawyer. And she's this like big hotshot career woman who decidedly did not want children. Like, that was something that she was very adamant about. She decided she didn't want kids. Hence Seth going out and finding Thursday and getting with her to have that family. And then when she was unable to provide this family to Seth, he goes to Hannah or Monday, right? Goes to her to get the happy family stuff going on. And so now Thursday's sitting here. And I know I've said this a whole bunch. It gets repeated so freaking much. But she's sitting here and she says she feels like the middle child where she's just left out, right? She's not the new shiny toy and she's not the original one that he loved or anything like that. She's just the middle bit. And it just is a really bad feeling, And this is the most depressing quote ever because, right, he divorced his first wife so he could legally marry Thursday. However, he still continued the relationship with her. Even though she didn't have the same like long-term family goals that he did, he stayed with her. And because of that, because he didn't leave her, he wouldn't leave me no matter what. That's where jealousy came in. When someone or something threatened my happiness, I understood Seth in that moment, admired him even. He didn't leave, but the downside was that he didn't leave anyone. He merely adapted. Rather than divorce, he took a new wife, one who could give him children. I was the second wife. Tuesday, in a compromise to remain without children, agreed to legally divorce Seth while I married him. I was to be the mother of his children until Hannah. I feel like I literally just said that. And I feel like I've said that multiple times through the book. She is spiraling after seeing this message from Regina/Tuesday and ends up waking Seth up and asking if he is angry for what happened to their baby. Thursday was pregnant. She had a miscarriage. So this was a very, traumatic experience for her, traumatic experience for Seth. And she's asking if he is angry. And he knows what she's insinuating, or like what kind of where she's going in her spiral thoughts. And so he's like, I didn't replace you with Hannah. I still love you no matter what happened. And so she says, well, what would you do if Hannah loses her baby? I.e., would you stop being with her if she can't give you children? Like, how many wives are you going to add to the freaking, I was going to say cohort. How many wives are you going to add to the mix? So she asks this. This pisses Seth off because he's like, why would you speak such a thing out loud? And also, I don't want to talk about children dying right now in the middle of the night when I'm trying to get some sleep. What the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you saying to me right now? So he gets frustrated. He tries to get dressed and leave. She stops him. He gets frustrated and pushes her. She falls down. She's now bleeding. She hit the corner of a table and she is bleeding. This is the first time that he's gotten physical with her. I believe she says that. And she ends up going to sleep that night. The next morning, Seth is gone. His visit with her is up. And she drinks. She drinks a lot. It is mentioned throughout the entire book. She is consuming alcohol alarming amount, every single day. And taking Ambien, like I had said earlier. So this is not good. I feel that I know where this book is going. And I feel that it's going to be very similar to the book I just covered yesteryear. And I won't say any more than that because I don't want to spoil anything regarding that book. But I just feel it in the air that this is not going to be a true, I don't know. I don't think I like it here. I think I hate it here, actually. So after drinking a bunch, she decides to go internet sleuth stalking Regina. Finds her photo on the law firm's website. She goes through all of the social media accounts. This woman is cutthroat, right? She's over here. She's 4'11". I'm not sure why this is specified. She's really short, always wears high heels, always has a tight slick back bun and red lipstick, looking professional, right? She is a go-getter killer. But there's not very much information out there. And so she continues to look, ends up going on a website where she's able to type in Regina's email or search her name or something on the dating websites to see if she's on those. And she is. She's on 2 dating websites. And this infuriates Thursday. She's like, I can't believe she would be cheating on Seth like this. I can't believe that she would be entertaining other men. Is Seth not enough for her? So she decides, well, I have to prove to Seth how she's being a terrible person. She's trying to get back in his good graces. She's trying to be the favorite wife again. And so she decides to create a fake dating profile using her cousin, who's in prison for identity theft, ironically, using his photos for the dating profile to try to reach out and get to know Regina on that level. Oh, okay, I suppose. She names the dating profile Will Moffat. And I'm only saying that out loud because not very many names get name dropped, but a couple of them do. And I feel like this is going to come back around, I believe it's on the dating app, right? After she gets access, she creates her own account so she can access the website. She can click through Regina's photos. The very last photo, it looks like Regina is standing next to Hannah. Monday and Tuesday are standing together. They know each other? But I don't know them. How long have they known each other? This is so weird. And so that makes her initiate conversation and actually reach out to Regina to talk to her, right? It was one thing to get the account and just stalk her. It's another thing to actively catfish this woman. Chapter 10 is a very random, odd chapter where Thursday goes to work, right? We said she's a nurse. While there, she runs into her coworker named Lauren. Lauren also had a miscarriage, and so she had one before Thursday did. And so she had a really difficult time being around Thursday while she was pregnant. And then after Thursday had her miscarriage, Lauren reached out to her, sent her a bunch of flowers, tried talking to her, tried doing the whole little meal train thing, and like really looking out for her and have some like camaraderie over, sharing such horrible experiences. Thursday completely rejected all of it. She just does not like this woman. She doesn't like the fact that they would bond over such a horrible thing. And so she's very just like put off by engaging with this coworker. The other thing that is off-putting to Thursday is the fact that Lauren and her husband have a great life, right? According to her social media, they go traveling all the time together. They're always exploring. They love each other very, very much. He's obviously very proud to have her as a wife, and it's great. And so she's jealous, and she's pretty open about this. And then she runs into this little old lady who then goes on to tell her, hey, I saw you looking at your phone earlier and you were looking at a woman's social media profile. Are you stalking your husband's exes? Because, yeah, I do the same thing. You gotta watch out for them. It's even better than social media stalking them. You should stalk them in person. That's not me being dramatic. The quote is, it's even better when you spy on them in person, by the way. She winks and then she's gone. Oh no. More days pass. She's getting through life. Until she receives a text message from Seth that was very, very clearly for one of his other wives. Talking about how he'll try to get out of it and buy whatever on the way home. Yikes. So she stews over this for the next couple of days until he returns to her. And he is just acting so different. Very weird. He comes over in like sweatpants and a regular t-shirt, and he never does this. He's always so prim and proper and dressed up and like expecting her to have these wonderfully cooked meals for him. She hasn't made anything for him for the last 2 visits because she says she is on strike because he's been treating her poorly, I guess, or whatever the heck is going on. And so the second time he comes around and she is still on strike, he comes over in comfy clothes, he brings some takeout, they just talk and hang out, and then eventually they go out for a walk and they're out in public and they're holding hands, and that's crazy. Seth never does that. Seth never wants to be out in public, let alone show, these like displays of affection. This is crazy. And then they bone, and in the middle of the night, she wakes up to keep messaging Regina, asking her a bunch of questions, trying to get to know her. One of the questions that she asks Regina is if she wants kids. She's like, I know that's kind of abrupt to ask somebody that you just met, but I think it's important for dating, It's important to know before you get too far into things. And she says, yeah, I want kids. Whoa. That is not what her husband told her. Why would she be entertaining other men about any of that? Why would she be flirting with other men? Why would she say she wants kids with other men when she told my husband she didn't want kids with him? What's happening here, right? In chapter 12, again, Seth's gone. He was only there for, the day and a half. She goes to her parents' house and is still obsessing over these conversations that she's having with Regina on the dating site. But then internally, she's also like, well, technically they did get divorced. So I can't be mad at her. She's not lying to me on the dating profile. Like, she is divorced. And I don't know. And then her mom and dad ask her a whole bunch of questions about Seth and pressure her to have kids and stop working and rely on him to work for her. And that's why he's working so much, because the man always has to make more money than the woman. I don't know, man. Don't look at me like that. And then it's just repetition about how bad she's feeling about everything. Oh, but she does go on this freaking horrendous rant where she's like, if I can prove that Regina is trying to cheat on Seth and I can tell him, and then he'll stop talking to Regina. And then when Hannah has her baby, you hear the stories all the time. When women give birth, they just abandon their husbands. So he'll just be itching to come back to me. So I just have to get rid of Regina and then wait around for Hannah to no longer be a problem either. And then I'll go back to being the favorite wife. Okay. In chapter 13, Thursday and Seth are on the phone and she gives an alternative. She's like, hey, so what if like we don't go on a crazy vacation? What if we go back to Utah? You know, we can go and we can spend the time with your family. No, he'd said, followed by a deep sigh like I was a child. Seth has been putting off a face-to-face meeting with his parents for the 2 years that we've been together. My family is effed up, he would always say. Busy people. He says busy like I'm not busy, like I couldn't possibly understand the demands of their life. So she's never met his family. She has never emailed them or talked to them in any type of way. She has tried writing them cards. It made it sound like it was multiple cards that she had tried to write, like holiday cards and greeting cards and whatnot to the family and to his parents, but they've never responded to any of her letters. Just kind of weird as well. And then she goes on a whole thing about how she doesn't really want to meet them anyway because they all live together and the idea of living with your husband's other wives is crazy, and just like completely crapping on their lifestyle as if she has it good right now. Like, I don't know, I feel like you're just throwing stones in glass houses. And then as she continues talking to Regina and doing more research and everything, she's just like spiral with this whole Regina conversation, talking more about getting divorced. And she's like, well, how bad was your divorce? And getting the scoop from Regina about all of this stuff. And she decides, I don't know why, I'm not sure for what reason, the law firm where Regina / Tuesday works at, she is like a divorce lawyer. She's like an attorney, a family lawyer, family attorney person. So she calls her office, don't know why, gets put on a wait list to get an appointment because she tells them that she wants to talk to Regina and get on her books so that she can get a divorce. Oh, we really are just going to be stalking in person. Thursday continues to drink and spiral and wallow in all of these thoughts. She ends up going out in public for some reason. I can't remember why exactly. Or I think it was literally just to clear her head. So she's like wasted, decides to go for a walk around town, right? She's in, again, downtown Seattle. Decides to go for a walk to clear her head, runs into Lauren, the coworker that I mentioned earlier, and decides to get a drink together. So they go there, they get freaking sloshed, and then they open up about everything. Lauren reveals that her, happy Instagram, perfect looking life is not the case, that her husband cheats on her constantly. And every time that he takes her on a trip, it's like a, forgive me trip. And also that she tried to get pregnant and had been trying for a while to hopefully make him stop cheating on her. It's just a terrible idea. And then when that couldn't even happen, she's like, and now I just have to deal with it, and this is my life. So then Thursday opens up, and she says, yeah, I'm a polygamist, though I've never met either of his other wives. They go back and forth for a tiny bit more, talking about, how much of a mess that they've made for themselves and what a crazy life. And she's like, are you going to divorce your husband? Are you going to divorce yours? And then they just, I don't know, have a friendship bonding moment over being married to terrible men that they won't divorce. What are we doing here? But the chapter ends with a sentence of, it feels like someone has taken some of the burden off my shoulders and I can move around a little easier. I wonder if she feels the same, if we can somehow help each other. So they're going to, right? Like Lauren inevitably is going to come back in the back half of the book and she's going to be part of the twist. Because otherwise, again, why would we specifically have a recurring coworker and why would you give me a sentence like that, right? Like that's the first foreshadowing. She's going to come back around. That's my guess. Like I said, I have not read to the end of the book yet. I'm keeping tabs with you as I go. I'm just letting out my theories here. She'll come back, I just don't know how. And of course, not only is she desperate to know Regina / Tuesday, she decides she's going to text Monday to hang out again, to go and get lunch, try to befriend her as well. So that's exactly what happens in chapter 15. She drives into Portland to go and visit. She goes inside of Hannah's house again and looks around, and The photo on the wall, like the one that had the broken shard of glass, got replaced with a photo of a flower. And Thursday, again, God forbid we not repeat ourselves, says internally, oh my God, she doesn't have any photos of Seth anywhere. This is so weird. I wonder if maybe that has to do with the bruises that she's had on her arm and her talking about maybe possibly wanting to divorce him. Like maybe there's more things wrong than I thought, you know? So they decide to drive separately to go to the restaurant, which she thinks is kind of weird, but it's because Seth is probably going over to her house that night. And so Monday probably doesn't want Thursday to run into him. Not that she knows who she is, but just in terms of like, if Thursday is suspicious of her husband being abusive, then she wouldn't want them to meet each other. Is Thursday's assumption that's just like what we're rolling with? I don't know. This woman is just yapping, okay? So they have lunch. She is pushy, trying to get more information under the guise of being a supportive friend. And like, you can trust me. You can open up to me. What's going on with your husband? You know, what's happening there? Hannah/Monday reassures her, hey, you know, yeah, my husband has anger issues. It has to do with him being abused as a child, but he's really trying to get it under control. And that's the worst that it's ever been. And it was my fault because I slapped him first and I initiated that whole thing. And I'm not getting into it, okay? But that's what it is. Thursday, instead of, I don't know, holding her husband accountable, you know, any positive reaction, the only thing that she hooks onto, Seth was abused? He never told me that. He's never told me about any of that. Why does this woman know such, you know, like an intimate detail about his life and I don't? Conversation moves on. Hannah continues talking about Seth and all of the things that she does like about her husband because now she's trying to paint him in a positive light. And Thursday's sitting there and she's like, I don't even know what I like about him. She's like, I've never really paid him enough attention. I've never noticed all of these things that she's talking about. What? She goes to the bathroom, and then when she comes back out, Hannah's gone. Hannah has left the restaurant. Left with a note saying that she felt sick and had to leave. Okay, I guess. The other thing to note that I probably should have told you off the top is Hannah showed up with a black eye. It was covered in makeup, but still a little bit visible, like the hue of it was visible, and so that's why Regina was asking also so many questions about the husband problem. And the only other thing to note is that as she was going into the restaurant, she got a text message from Seth asking where she was and what she was up to, which is really weird because he's supposed to be with Tuesday? Well, that doesn't make sense. He's supposed to be with Monday? Is it just the day? She's like, he shouldn't be texting me. You're not supposed to text when you're with the other wife. So she texts Hannah, you know, asking if she's okay. Hannah again reiterates, didn't feel well, had to run. And, you know, I don't know. For some reason, she decides to drive by Hannah's house. She goes there, lights are off, her car is not there, Seth's car is not there, and so then she's like, oh my God, I wonder if she just went directly to the hospital. Okay. Interesting. She goes home. The next day, she wakes up to a bunch of messages from Hannah, and one of them, her voice shakes and I press the phone closer to my ear so I can make out what she's saying. I'm really freaked out. Her voice quavers and it sounds like she's blowing her nose. We had a fight. I don't feel safe. Her voice cuts off like she's lost reception in the middle of the call. I hold the phone away from my face to see if the voicemail is still playing. Pressing it back to my ear, I strain to hear in case she said anything. Leave alone. It cut out for the final time. Damn my shitty reception. I don't think that's how voicemails work. So she decides to call her friend, her like childhood friend. Anna, does it matter? I don't know. Decides to call her to get some moral advice. And she's like, hey, I have this new friend. She's got this whole thing with her husband. You know, I don't really know what to do. But also caveats it with 2 things you should know. She's pregnant and I know her husband fairly well. And he doesn't seem like the type of guy who would toss his wife around, you know? He pushed you down and you bled from your temple. You fell down bleeding and he still left the house. What are you talking about? And also, not even that. Like, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. That's such a crappy thing to caveat that with. I know her husband fairly well and he doesn't seem like the type of guy. My friend sighs. I can picture her seated at her kitchen table, blah, blah, blah. I don't really care. What a weird paragraph to include in here. And also the ankle bracelet she wears glinting off her olive skin. What? Okay. First off, she begins, I don't give a flying fuck how innocent a man appears. Thank you. If a woman has the tits, okay, to come forward and say she's scared, something is going the fuck on. Oh my God, why are you cursing so much? Something is going on to make her scared. You don't need to get too involved, but you can get involved enough to give her the push to leave. This is highlighted by 784 people. We're all just waiting for someone to stand behind us, aren't we? Even if it's just one person, it gives you strength. Okay, so she pushes back and she's like, hey, but what if this woman is just blowing things out of proportion? She's just in denial, right? She just has to be in denial about this. And so hangs up with her friend and she decides, okay, I do need to call Hannah though. I need to make sure that she's okay. Rings her up, no answer. Calls her multiple times, no answers. All of a sudden, there's a bunch of noises in her living room. She thinks somebody is breaking into her house. It turns out it is just Seth, and he is upset. This is not the day that he should be visiting. He does not greet her like normal. He looks disheveled. Not good. He says, I know what you're doing. She's like, I was with my friend last night. I don't know what you're talking about, you know? Have you been here all night? Yes, he says. I'm sorry, I didn't know I would have come home. Why didn't you call? He was home all night? You went... Hold on. Did she not talk about waking up? By the next morning. So you went home to sleep. He was at your house, supposedly, apparently. While you were gone to dinner, he came home to surprise you, realized you weren't at the apartment, saw you when you got back, and then didn't say anything to you? Is he not staying in your condo? Was he just in town in a hotel nearby? What do you mean he's been there since last night and he's not coming out until the morning? Why wouldn't he have confronted you when you got home from... What's going on? I feel like I'm missing something, but I also don't think I am. So anyway, he's pissed and he's confronting her and he says, what have you done? And she keeps trying to play it off and then she's looking at him and she says, oh my God, what happened to your hand? We both look at his hand. Seth registers the bandage like he's seeing it for the first time. He splays his fingers, twisting his wrist from side to side as he blinks at it. A piece of hair falls onto his forehead, and it's the first time I notice that his hair is wet from a shower. What are you trying to wash off? If he was here all night... If his knuckles look like that, what does Hannah look like? I hit something, and that's all he says, like it's a good enough explanation. Doing what? My question seems to throw him off balance. He opens and closes his mouth. Seth, what have you done? I swear to God, if this bitch, I'm not even going to say Beezy, this full on hard ITCH bitch is going to protect or cover for her husband for murdering or hurting a woman, I swear to God. I don't think that's what's about to happen, but I swear to God. He lunges at her. They have a back and forth arguing of him just repeating, who were you with? Finally, she says, Hannah. He is pissed. He's like, I thought we had an arrangement. Why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. And he's like, we made an agreement. You wanted this. I wanted it because it was the only way to have you. You're hitting her. I saw the bruises. He calls her crazy. And then he's like, hey, listen to me. You're sick. It's happening again. I stare at him in astonishment. Sick? You're the sick one. How can you even say something like that to me after you asked me to live this lifestyle? Okay, I'm not repeating this. I don't care. Oh my God. How many times is lifestyle said in this book? Only 4. It felt a lot more dramatic in my head. The word life is said 92 times, which I think is where I'm linking it to, because so many freaking times this woman talks about, oh, living this life. Oh, what a terrible lifestyle. Oh my God, what a life we've made for ourselves. I get it. I promise you, I get it. So he follows this up with, though. He's like, hey, are you taking your pills? What pills? Oh my God. He just looks bewildered, and so she continues being angry and fighting with him. I was at your house, I say boldly. Why didn't you tell me you bought her a house and remodeled it? Did you think I would be too jealous to deal with it? And he says, are you effing kidding me? This is over, he says, closing his eyes. I thought you could handle this. We had an arrangement. I can't believe this. He goes to try to leave. She's yelling at him. She says, I'm going to expose you, and I'm going to tell everybody how much of a creepy, gross weirdo you are for living this lifestyle. And he says, I'm going to call your doctor. So then she counters, I found the doctor's bill in your pants pocket. Hannah's. I went to see her. What doctor's bill? He asks. He shakes his head. And then I see it, a spark of recognition. He sets his phone on the counter next to the coffee maker, forgotten. Oh my God. When I was at the doctor, a woman checked out in front of me. She got distracted by her phone and walked out of the office without it. I ran it to her, except once I was out there, I couldn't find her. She must have driven off. I stuffed it in my pocket. I should have turned it into the receptionist, but I didn't even think to do that. That's what you found. What? I don't believe him, not even for a second. This is crazy. He's lying. He goes on to say, you need help. You're having delusions again. Again? I'm so angry that it's me who launches at him this time. My hands extended like I can claw his eyes out with my bitten down fingernails. Liar, I scream. I ram into his chest. That was a mistake. Once I'm in his range, he uses his strength against me, holding me at arm's length. I can't reach him, but my arms flail anyway as I try to make contact with something. His open water bottle... Okay, do I care about any of this? Oh, okay, I do. Water bottle falls, spills water on the floor. She slips on it. Seth tries to catch me, but as my feet lose grip and slide out from under me, so do his. We fall in a tangle. I slam into the ground, my shoulder blades hitting the floor with Seth's weight on top of me, and then I see nothing but dark. In chapter 18, Thursday wakes up in a hospital. They're asking, hey, can you hear me? Oh, there you are. You're going to have a headache. We've given you something for that. It should be better in a bit. And she's a nurse, remember this, right? So she's looking around. She sees the IV connected to her. She sees a whole bunch of stuff. She's taking it all in, and she doesn't feel good, and her memory is a little fuzzy about everything. And she ends up asking the nurse, hey, what medication am I on? What are you guys putting me on right now? And it's Haldol. Sure. And it is a medication to treat psychosis and violent behavior. Uh-oh. Okay, let's see. What else about this chapter? The nurse tells her that she was severely dehydrated, and then she goes on to ask about her husband. She says, which hospital am I in? Where is my husband? You're in Queen County. I haven't seen a husband, but it's past visiting hours, and I'm sure he'll be back tomorrow. Queen County. I try to sit up in bed, but yelp when a pain shoots through my head. I don't know where we are. Is that far? Why am I in Queen County? Where's the doctor? I need to speak to him. Says you came here in an ambulance. That's all I can tell you for now until you speak to your doctor. She tries to ask her nurse, hey, why am I on that medication? And the nurse just kind of has a weird reaction and walks out. And then the doctor walks in. Dr. Steinbridge, I was a consulting doctor on your case last time you were with us. Awesome. We are 47% of the way through the book. Where could this go? I don't know. The last time Seth had me locked up in the nut house, my voice is hoarse. I lift a hand to touch my throat, then change my mind, dropping it to the sheet instead. Do you remember the circumstances that brought you here Thursday? No, I say simply. I'm afraid the memories have disappeared along with my husband. Dr. Steinbridge makes no indication that he's heard my snark. His long, gangly legs make their way over to the bed, and it looks as if the bones in them could snap at any moment. Why are you saying all of these things? None of this is, relevant. She goes on to answer a bunch of questions, saying that her name is Thursday Ellington. God, what a name that is. She's 28 years old. He goes on to tell her that you probably don't remember anything because you hit your head, or it could even be stress. When your brain is ready, it'll impart those memories to you. But for now, all you can do is sleep and wait. And so then she's like, hey, can you just tell me what happened then? Like, obviously you should know, like, what's going on with me. And he says, okay, well, Tuesday night you were in the kitchen with Seth and you attacked him. Do you remember that? And she opens up to the doctor and she's like, yeah, I remember it. I attacked him because of his other wife. He's a polygamist. Did you know that? He has 3 wives and he hits one of them. Did you see him hit his wife? One of his wives, I say frustrated, but no, I saw the bruises on her arm and face. Did she tell you that he hit her? I hesitate. No. And you all live together? You and these women? No, blah, 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 whole back and forth. And then he's like, well, how did you find their names? Obviously, he just thinks she's crazy, right? He's like, this is a lot to take in. Your husband's a polygamist, but you don't live with them, but you didn't know their names, but now you do. Like, the doctor is looking at the facts that she's spitting out right now. And he's like, I think maybe we need to put you on more extreme medication. I'm concerned and not taking her seriously. And the chapter ends with Seth coming into the room and visiting her. So Seth here makes her, again, talk to the doctor about him having multiple wives and trying to put him on the spot to admit this. And Seth tells the doctor, no, I don't have multiple wives. I divorced my first wife 3 years ago in order to be with Thursday. And Thursday's like, yeah, but like how many women do you like get freaky with? He says, it's a game we play, to the doctor, giving like the reasoning. Like she's asking about this and why she's saying that he has 3 wives. It's a game we play, sir. It's nothing serious. A game? The doctor repeats. Yes. This thing Thursday and I would do to joke about all the time that I spent away. I'd always come home on Thursday, and since her name is Thursday, we said that there must be a Monday and Tuesday as well. He glances at me nervously. I didn't know she took it this far, but considering what? I snap. Thursday, you have a history of delusion, the doctor interrupts. Sometimes when a trauma, his voice continues, but I block it out. I don't want to hear it. I know what happened, but that's not what's happening now. And then she screams about them to get out of her room. He says, okay, I'll check back in with you later. And then has Seth follow him to his office to speak. Eventually, Seth returns with her favorite meatloaf. And he's like, hey, you need to wake up. We need to talk. She's like, why don't you tell people the truth? The truth is that you're very sick, Thursday. You need help. I tried to pretend it wasn't happening. I played your games. But you changed after the baby. Don't, I say quickly, don't bring the baby into this. You won't talk about it, and we have to. You can't just move on after something like that. She zones out again. He yells at her, and he's like, our baby died Thursday. It wasn't your fault. It wasn't anyone's fault. And then she continues to have a complete meltdown. And he pleads, you have to stop this. All the lies you tell yourself, they won't let you out of here until you tell the truth. And then all the nurses come in because there's an alarm going off. They come in, they sedate her. And then as she's like passing out and her vision's going blurry, she looks up at Seth. The drugs tug at my eyelids, pulling me down. What was that look on his face? What did it mean? I'm so done. I am so done with this book, actually. I don't think I've had this level of, like, checked out, I don't even give a book what happens anymore. I don't think I've had that type of reaction in a long time. I think, like I mentioned earlier, I think since I read Never Never by this woman and Colleen Hoover. Oh. Let me suffer through a couple more chapters and I'll circle back. In chapter 20... Thursday's still in the hospital. She wakes up and she's thinking about Hannah. She's like, the memories are coming back to her and she's remembering Seth's bloody fist. And then I'm like, so he rolled up to the hospital with a bloody hand, with a bruised, crazy, maybe not bloody, but like a bruised hand. Okay. Anyway, so she wakes up worrying about Hannah, remembering about how he probably hit her. I'm not going to unpack that anymore. And then a nurse comes in, tells her that she's getting moved to a psych ward, and that's that. She has one more visitor for the day, or like another visitor rather, and this time it is her mother. And her mother sits down and she's like, "Your father," she starts. "Yeah, I know, Mom, it's fine." What does that mean? Internally, Thursday is thinking, my father would never come to a place like this. To see one of his daughters locked up in a psych ward would mean to admit that he had done something wrong as a parent. And my father likes to maintain the illusion of perfection. She goes on to tell her mom, "I'm not crazy. All of this stuff is happening," and finally opens up to her mother about the polygamy situation. And her mom just looks at her sadly, disappointment on her face. "I need to get going," she says. 15 minutes. She lasted 15 minutes in the psych ward. I watch as she retreats toward the doors, her shoulders sagging with the weight of my failures as her daughter. At least this time she came. At least this time. So you do remember when you were in the psych ward previously. Why are you giving me first person POV of a character and then acting like this is how people think? Don't tell a story from this perspective if you are going to willfully leave something out of the story to trick your readers. This is the shit that, like, Frida McFadden does all the time. Who thinks like that? Chapter 21, she is just going through this whole psych ward process and pretending that she's coming to terms with life, right, with reality. And she's like, "I'm purposefully acting confused at group therapy. Seth only has one wife?" Like that type of thing. So that she can get out. And the whole time she's like obsessing over Hannah and concerned about Hannah's safety. And 15, almost 1,600 people highlighted. Women are stuck in a cycle of insecurity perpetuated by the way men treat them. And we are constantly fighting to prove to ourselves and everyone else that we are okay. Super deep and meaningful. As her and her doctor continue working, through therapy and through everything that's going on, she is coming to terms with the miscarriage that she had experienced and the hysterectomy that had to follow that. "My empty womb has had me feel like I'm not a real woman and not worthy of my husband's love. They scraped all my organs out, roped off my reproductive system. Before my eyes, scenes from my miscarriage began to flash in painful succession. I know I'm supposed to let them come and face them, as the doctor says, but they're memories I've never looked over, not even once since it happened. It's easier to cope when you don't acknowledge what you're coping from." And I feel like that is rather the line that should have been highlighted quite often. It's easier to cope when you don't acknowledge what you're coping from. Damn, that's crazy. But she has a flashback to her miscarriage that, like, I'm not going to share with you in any type of detail or anything, but she's just remembering that day. And her and Seth were driving back from a bed and breakfast that they were staying at. They stop at a gas station. Seth goes in to get some hot water to brew some tea. There's these special tea bags from his mom that they've been drinking for the last week. And then she eats some, like, ranch flavored chips from the gas station, and then she begins having all of these pains and everything goes downhill from there. And they had gone to the nearest hospital because they were like traveling, right? They were on vacation or a trip or whatever. And the nearest hospital that she got admitted to was Queen County, where she is now. So was she admitted last time? I guess it could be both, right? I was going to say, was she admitted last time because of the baby or because of a mental break? Could be both. Very well could have been both. Dr. Steinbridge says that in my grief, I created the delusion of 3 wives, women who were better suited for Seth, ones who could give him what I could not. God, it's depressing, all the things that are wrong with me, even if only half of them are true. And yes, it was after the miscarriage that she tried to take her own life. Big yikes, this is just really sad. While she has this extended stay in the hospital, Lauren, the coworker that she had with the whole bonding over the baby stuff, Lauren cannot get a hold of her. Thursday's not been coming to work. And so Lauren calls Thursday's mom. Not sure how she got that contact information. Finds out about her being in the psych ward and decides to visit her. And so now Lauren and Thursday have a chit chat at the hospital. So Lauren is going to set out to try to find this social media profiles connection between the 2 wives to prove something. I walk back to my room, a renewed hope growing in my chest. I'm not alone. Seth wants me to believe that I am. He's taken my mother, my father. He wants me to be solely reliant on him, but I'm not sure why. I became a liability when I snooped after he told me not to. I know things that could ruin his business, his reputation. Of course, he wants to shut me up, lock me up. What if Hannah doesn't know about me? Maybe that's it. All along, I've thought that all three of us were in cahoots, like some secret girl alliance. Our man is so lovable. He scored 3 women. We're just so happy to be a part of it. But Seth is going to great lengths to keep me locked away and sequestered. Perhaps to keep me from Hannah, to keep her from finding out. I think of the photo on Regina's dating profile, the blonde in the corner of the photo who looked suspiciously like Hannah. What if Seth used the same story on Hannah that he used on me? The barren wife, the need to be with someone who could give him children. I could be removed from the equation altogether, so Seth could once again get what he wants. 2 days later... Sorry, if you can hear, I don't know if you can hear it, if the mic's picking it up. Under my chair, there is a cat playing with a ping pong ball. And there's nothing I can do about it because I can't get under there. So he just plays with it all day. So I'm sorry. Hopefully he stops soon. Lauren returns 2 days later. She says, yeah, there's not a Hannah Ovark not on Facebook. There's nothing. I checked all the social media sites. I even checked Pinterest and Shutterfly. She doesn't exist. God, I even tried changing her name around. You know people have all those cutesy handles these days. I nod, thinking of Regina, how I'd had to be clever with her name to find her. She's either deleted her profile or has extreme privacy settings, Lauren says. She picks at the cardboard sleeve around her cup. I Googled her too. Nothing. Are you sure that's her name? I don't know. That's the name that I saw on the paper I found in Seth's pocket. What about the picture of Regina and Hannah? Did you find that? She reaches into her purse and pulls out a folded piece of paper. Lauren's face is washed of color. She slides the paper across the table and I reach for it. My hands shake as I unfold it. It's a printout of the photo that I'd found on Regina and the woman I suspect is Hannah. But when I look down at the grainy printout, something is wrong. Regina is the same, her smile wide just as I remember it, but in the corner of the photo where I'd once seen Hannah, there is a woman with dark hair. So she feels like she's losing her mind. She feels like Lauren doesn't believe her anymore, but Lauren is trying to be supportive and reassuring. And she can only be so reassuring because she's like, hey, there's one more thing, by the way. There's no easy way to say this, but I made a few phone calls and the house for the address that you gave me Thursday, it's registered under your name. She covers her eyes with her palms. What? That's not my house. I don't know what's going on, but it's not mine. I don't even care if you don't believe me. I'm not crazy. I didn't say you were. I'm just telling you what I found. Uh-oh. And then she dismisses Lauren and goes and spirals. She has been in the hospital for a month now and ends up coming to a conclusion about... Wait, what? How Seth wasn't not of the women who bow and cow and do everything to please him, nor of the life he's built on our backs. Why he has a whole team behind him, legal, childbearing, and money. I've never wanted to admit that part, that maybe he's with me for my money, for my trust fund. It's been a thing I don't think about. It got mentioned one time earlier in the book, in passing, when she was talking to her parents. And I forgot to tell you guys until just now. But, so now I'm even more mad. Why, assumably, if you have such an inheritance or whatever, if you had so much wealth, trust fund stuff, you would have a prenup when you get married. Or isn't that like a whole thing if it's like assets before you like get married is still like your individual assets or something? I might be making that up. I don't know. But why wouldn't you have a prenup? And then also this goes back to this whole idea of like you have literally every means in the world to leave him. I don't want to hear it about it anymore. Actually, I think I'm done. I'm the money. I've never seen myself that way. Never thought it played a factor in our relationship, but I'm rich by any sense of the word. My father has made sure my sister and I are well taken care of. My sister snorted most of her trust and then married a wealthy country club man named Michael Sprouse Jr. Do I care? Why are you telling me his name? But now everything feels different, is different. He sequestered me away, and that isn't something you do to your wife, someone you love. It's what you do to someone you're trying to manage. But he's been managing all three of us all along. I make a list in my head of the things I must do when I get out. Check the bank account, talk to the wives, contact Seth's parents, and talk to his business partner, Alex, who doesn't know that I exist. They can't keep me in here forever. I will get out. I will show everyone who he really is. He can't do this to me. This time, I'm going to fight back. Okay, awesome. Enough time passes. She's a convincing enough actress that she finally gets discharged from the hospital. And the doctor makes some offhanded comment about how Seth had called every day to check in on her. Seth comes to pick her up from the hospital and take her home. And he's being polite. He's being very kind to her, but he's also awkward. And he looks kind of weird. And he looks different than usual. And they hold hands and his hands don't feel right. And she's just questioning everything that has happened and happened between them. And on the drive home, he apologizes for not coming to visit her, but he blames himself for what happened to her. And then he goes on to say, you know, babe, like, I'll stay with you for a while. Like, I want to make sure that you're okay. So I'll just stay with you at your condo for a little bit. What about work? I'm not worried about work. Your health is more important to me than that. And they keep talking, and she's realizing, oh no, I'm going to fall for his charisma again. He's going to rizz me up. And I'm just going to end up staying in this terrible marriage. I have to get out of here as soon as possible. And so she is going to now pretend and play along with being a happy wife returned home and escape as quick as possible. Which again, I go back to the fact, you have a trust fund. Just go. Leave it. Leave everything. Who freaking cares? Get your important legal documents and dip out, girl. Go buy some new shit. What are you talking? What are we doing? What are we waiting for? I guess she's wanting to stick around and collect evidence of the whole wife's thing so that he can't call her crazy or act like she's crazy. Like she wants to get some definitive proof before she takes further action, which I respect. Okay. I get it. I get why she's waiting. I'm being a little facetious here, but also you got money, hire a PI, get a lawyer, a good one, and start the process there. What are we doing right now? More time passes. Seth is still staying with her, supporting her, but in a weird, terrible way where he makes her keep all of her medication on the counter so that if anybody visits, then they all know that she's sick. And then also so that she doesn't ever forget that she's sick. And then her mom visits to help give her some soup because soup fixes all sicknesses. And her mom apologizes for not being there when she got discharged. And the mom is like, did daddy tell you that I was doing blah, blah, blah? And Thursday says, dad doesn't talk to me. What are you talking about? He's ashamed of me. And the mom says, and I quote, he's trying. Honestly, Thursday, sometimes you can be so selfish. How are you selfish? I don't know what's happening. The next time my mother comes, my father comes in with her. I'm surprised to see him. In the years I've lived in the condo, my father has only been to visit a handful of times. What are you doing here? The words are out of my mouth before I can arrange them in a nicer way. My father frowns like he's not sure of himself. Really, Thursday? What a way to show appreciation, my mother says. Your father's been worried sick. And then she says, did Seth ask you to come? My mother looks affronted. Of course not. Why would you think that? I open and close my mouth. I can't very well accuse him of keeping me prisoner. That would make me sound crazy. I arranged some bullshit about him being worried about me on the tip of my tongue, but then my father beats me to it speaking first. Thursday. The expression he's wearing is the same one he used on my sister and me as children. I don't know whether to buckle down from the talking to of a lifetime or to be offended that he still thinks I'm 12. Enough with this Seth business. All of that needs to be put behind you. You need to move forward. Definitely, I say. You should join a gym, my mother suggests. I will. I nod. Well then. My father sits up. His job is done. He's free to go home and watch the news and eat the meals my mother serves him. I'm really tired, I offer. My father looks relieved. You go to bed then. We love you. It's a lie. I hate him. What? Okay. I have to stop reacting because it's literally going to be my reaction for everything of what am I reading right now? She is trying to think of a way to pack a bag and leave and call Hannah and find her and make sure she's okay and blah, 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 and trying to be inconspicuous about it, but Seth asks her what she's doing. And so to change the topic, she goes on to talk about her parents visiting, and she's like, my mother, I start to tell him that she was here with my father. Seth's eyes are on my arm again. She said she'd be back tomorrow. She will stay with you then, he says without looking up. I don't need a babysitter, I say. I'm fine. He turns away for the first time. We care about you, Thursday. Until you're well again, someone will be here to stay with you. I have to get out of here. I have to go. So, is the mom and Seth talking or not? What's happening? Hello? Seth does not sleep in bed with her. He sleeps on the sofa. And then she goes to try to find the text messages and phone calls from Hannah because she has her access to her phone again. And she can't find anything. Everything's been deleted, even her phone number, even her voicemails. And she can't find anything. And then she starts spiraling again about how Seth hit Hannah. And so when Seth is in the bathroom or distracted in some other way, she ends up picking up his phone. He has the same passcode that he always has. You've only been together for 2 years. I don't know why you would say that in such a way. And goes to his contacts in his phone and searches for Regina and Hannah's names in his contact list. There is nobody. But just a few weeks ago, we'd been drinking cider at the market when Regina's name popped up on his phone. And so she searches everywhere through his phone, obviously his contacts, his text messages, his phone log, literally anything that she can get her hands on, emails to try to see where these women are or who these women are. He'd cleared everything. He wanted me to find this and see nothing. I creep over to my laptop, but it won't turn on, and she's questioning about him disabling her device. And that makes her decide it's time to run. So there's an extra car key because he's hiding them from her. She finds the spare. She finds $500 cash and leaves her condo to go and figure something else out. And she'll call her friends if she needs something, I guess. Or her friend Anna, who I mentioned earlier, if she needs something. And then she realizes that she can't bring her phone with her because Seth would have means to track her. So she drops it in the elevator and makes a run for it, goes to her car to leave. And by leave, I mean she drives straight to Hannah's house. She goes there. She knocks on the door. Hannah answers. She says, "Oh my God, I left you a message. I didn't know if you were okay. You look great." And Hannah says, "I'm sorry, who are you? I don't understand." Oh no. And then she's like, "Do you have the wrong house? What house number are you looking for? I know most of the people on the street," she asks helpfully. "Hannah?" I try one last time. She shakes her head. "I'm sorry." Her voice is firmer now. She wants to get back to her laugh track show. And then Hannah's in the process of trying to shut the door. And she's like, "It's me, Thursday. We're both married to Seth too." Her eyebrows draw together and she glances behind her in the house. "I'm sorry. I think there's been a mistake. Let me go get my husband. Maybe he can help you." She's turning around, calling someone on the inside. That's when I notice that her hair isn't tied back in a low ponytail like I thought. Rather, it's cropped short, a pixie cut. "Your hair, did you cut it recently?" I notice her belly too, the flatness. I almost lift a hand to my own in confusion. And then she shuts the door. Hannah, maybe, whoever this woman is, I don't know, shuts the door in her face. And then Thursday's like, "Oh my God, why is she denying to know Seth? Why is she denying to not know who I am? This is so crazy." And so she walks back to her car and she's feeling like she's spiraling and she has no idea what's going on, and types in her GPS another address, goes down this crazy windy road, ends up at this house, and then she's thinking to herself, there's a lockbox, and she's like, "I hope Seth keeps the same lockbox code that he has, on all of his projects." She types it in, it works, and then she ends up just staying in the night in this construction zone of a house. And then she finds some beat up mattress in one of the bedrooms and goes to sleep, just hoping that she can sleep off her medication, and that must be why she's feeling weird because of all the pills that she's been taking. And yeah, takes a little bit of a rest, takes a shower in the lukewarm water. I'm not sure, again, I don't know why that's specified. And then she decides it's time to go and see Regina. If this didn't work with Hannah, I'll at least go and see her and we'll get this figured out. If you were wondering, by the way, we are at the 67% mark. There's less than 100 pages left and 10 chapters. Yay. Goes to Regina's office, says that she has an appointment, right? Remember we said that forever ago she made the appointment? Receptionist says, "Hey, looks like you missed it, sorry." And she goes on to give this pity party of a response of, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Just everything's been so mixed up with the divorce, and sobs, again, pity partying to get this lady to do this for her. So the secretary says, oh my God, honey, hold on one second. And she goes and talks to Regina. Regina is going to skip her lunch in order to talk to and give a consultation and whatnot to Thursday. And it's at lunchtime, like I said, so she has 4 hours to waste. So Thursday heads over to like a store and buys a new jacket, and then sees a dive bar across the street and goes over there to drink. She has 3 vodka sodas. It's the morning time. Remember, it's like 8 a.m. when she starts this, and she hasn't eaten. And also she's still technically has that medication in her system that she's not supposed to have alcohol. Not just the like stuff from earlier, but all of the, post-hospital visit medication that she's taking. Like, you're really, really not supposed to have alcohol and that stuff. So she's day drunk, whatever. She tries to clean herself up before this meeting, goes there, gets taken into the office. She thanks Regina for skipping her lunch to speak with her. Regina says, yeah, no problem. What's going on, girly pop? What are we working with here? And so she goes on and she's like, yeah, I want to get a divorce. Again, my husband's a polygamist. He has these other wives. And Regina's asking her questions. How many wives? What's the setup? Are there kids involved? All of the regular like divorce type questions that you would ask. And then upon hearing that he's a polygamist and has these wives, she asks Thursday, do the other wives know about you? Thursday says, I don't know, Regina. Why don't you tell me? How much did you know about me? And then this makes Regina go on to say, let me quote it for you. Hold, please. Seth contacted me. He said you might come by. You came all this way, so why are you here? What do you need to tell me? I gather it's not about divorce. And she's like, yeah, I just came here because I want to know more about our husband. You knew him for a long time. You were together with him for 8 years. And Regina's like, 5 years? And yeah, I know about him, but not our husband. She's like, we got a divorce 3 years ago. And it was because of you, right? So she also confirms that Thursday's the reason that they got the divorce. And after Regina says it was only 5 years that they were together, there's a whole clarifying moment of Thursday saying, yeah, but the last 3, you got divorced 3 years ago, but you guys kept the marriage or kept the relationship. Regina looks offended and disgusted at this idea. And she's like, beside my ex reaching out to me and telling me that you might be coming by, I have not talked to my ex-husband. Like, I have not talked to him at all. Like, I think you need to leave, right? I think you need to get out of here. She starts freaking out a little bit, and as she's kind of scrambling and getting kicked out of this office, she makes one last question, right? The one last saving grace question to Regina. Just tell me one thing, please. Seth's parents, did you ever meet them? She looks confused. Seth's parents are dead, she says, shaking her head. They died years ago. Oh no. Oh no. So chapter 28, after getting shut down by Regina, who again was just reiterating this whole idea of like, Seth told me you were sick. I didn't realize it was this bad, blah, blah, blah. She decides to go back to Hannah. She goes to Hannah's house. She's banging on the door, ringing the doorbell. No answer. She goes around the house, sees that a window's open. She decides to just go into the house, just crawl through the window. And as she does, she's yelling about like, Hannah, I'm coming in. She goes in. She decides, well, I guess maybe Hannah's not home. Let me just dig around through all of these drawers. Finds a bunch of clothes, a bunch of random stuff. She's taken in the decor of the house, and it looks a little different, and it's kind of weird, and there's nothing that would indicate that a man lives here. And then she remembers smelling something downstairs, like a cooking smell. I don't know. She goes down there. Finds a batch of cookies and a bunch of applications for the house, like condo, apartment, I don't know, wherever the heck they are. And there's a real estate agent there asking, like, how did you get in? There's no appointments until later. And she's like, I can't believe Hannah didn't mention moving when I saw her. And so she ended up snagging one of these applications. She goes back to her car after running away, like escaping this real estate agent who is very frustrated for this woman breaking into the house. And she looks at it and realizes that it's an application. And so when she gets into her car, she realizes that the application is for the house, right? So she's like, Hannah never told me she was moving. Why wouldn't she ever mention that? And where is she now? I literally saw her last night watching TV with someone, and then today the house is up for rent? That's so weird. Without my phone, there's no one to call, nothing to search online. I could look for a library and use their computer, but no, there is still one person to follow. One story that isn't adding up. I don't know nearly enough about Seth's first wife. There's something about her that is nagging me. Something that I can't place. I need to know more about Regina. Her last name is I think Cole, but it's Coele. We had mentioned it earlier about how she had to search for her with get creative with her name. For now, Hannah and Seth can wait. And so now she's going to go back to stalking Regina? Yeah, and she's just in chapter 29, she's like, I know that she knows something. I'm convinced of it. She wouldn't have been so eager to get me out of her office if she didn't, claiming that she hadn't seen or spoken to Seth in years. But I was there the night she texted him while we were at the market. I'd seen her name flash on his phone. She'd claimed it was a courtesy call about their dog. It was the one time that he's ever picked up the phone around Thursday, and that it was one of his other wives, and he said it was because his dog, his and Regina's dog, was sick, and so he was trying to give her advice on how to give the dog medication. I don't know. And so then she's like, I don't know where Hannah went. Seth is doing this on purpose to make me feel crazy. And then if he's doing all of that, he's putting in a lot of effort to hide this whole truth of our relationship. This is so weird. Especially if he's only technically married to me. It's not like he's going to get in legal trouble. Why is he, being so extra about this? This is all just very, very odd and not adding up. And so she ends up stalking Regina until she gets home, waits for Regina to enter her apartment, waits a couple minutes, knocks on the door. And obviously she's surprised to see Thursday standing in her doorway. Tries to shut the door. Thursday pushes it back open, and she's like, I'm just here to talk. Uh-oh. That does not seem like good news. They have a whole back and forth. It's literally the exact same rigmarole that we've heard the entire book. Well, not really the entire book, but especially these last couple of chapters. Regina says, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know Hannah. He and I divorced 3 years ago. I'm not in a relationship with him, but I did see him last week because he owes me money because he took out a second mortgage on our house and he's struggling. And yeah, and also because our dog died. And then Thursday's Smidge, because she knows the dog's name. And Regina looks very upset that she knows the dog's name. And she's like, how did you know that? As if it's, I don't know, some weird confirmation or something. Don't know. Not sure. But she does go on to, again, confirm for the 87th time that the reason they got divorced was because Seth and Hannah had an affair. Okay. Great. Great talk, everybody. And then she, I don't know, in a way to try to get Regina to open up to her and admit the relationship, goes on to talk about her baby for the first time and acknowledge the miscarriage and how it made her feel and how they reacted to everything. And I don't know. It's a really sad couple of paragraphs that kind of felt out of the blue, that she was just trauma dumping on Regina out of nowhere. And then they talk about how Regina never wanted kids. And they talk about Seth's family and how they were kind of weird and they died years ago, and how they struggled really bad because his dad had schizophrenia and wasn't doing well at the end. And then about how Seth always admired his dad in a weird way. I don't know. And then Regina makes her leave. And as she's getting pushed out of the door, she says, Seth hit Hannah. You need to know that. When I found out and confronted him about it, he got rough with me too. A muscle twitches in her temple, a tiny pulse. Goodbye, Regina. And the other thing to note too is when Regina was telling her about how Seth had visited last week to drop off the money and to talk about the dog and whatnot, Thursday's like, and you slept with him? Regina doesn't acknowledge that statement. She continues talking about other things, but Thursday's like, I see the look in her face, the look that crosses her eyes. It's an admission. Okay, you're right. Honestly, not even the craziest thing you've said this book. And so she leaves Regina's apartment and she's like, I wonder who's lying. Is it Regina? Is it Seth? I guess Seth lying about having extra wives and stuff. In which case, if he is, oh my God, do you know how elaborate that would have to be of like, I just don't want to be around with you. Like, I just, you know what I'm saying? He's like just avoiding his wife actively for like 3 or 4 days a week. Or no, I guess 5, 6 days a week. Oh my God. She doesn't know where to go. Thursday doesn't know where to go. So she ends up going to sleep. And then she wakes up to a phone call from Regina. And Regina says, hey, it's me. We have to talk. Seth knows that you came to the firm and he knows that you're here. And this is all so crazy. Can you meet up? We've got to figure this out. So they go to meet at this like all night diner thing. And before Thursday heads that way, on the phone with Regina, she's like, how do I know I can trust you? Regina says, I don't think you have a choice. Hello? And so it's 4:30 in the morning and they go to the diner. And Regina opens up. And she goes on to tell Thursday that she also suffered from a miscarriage early in her marriage to Seth. I was 21 weeks, she says. I didn't know about yours. Seth, he never told me. He just said that you guys had been trying. And she's like, seriously, Thursday, like, lock in. I need you to pay attention right now. Where, and it's the tea. The tea he gave Thursday. Herbal tea in a little brown sack. I think back. I'd been complaining about it. My doctor had prescribed something for the nausea, but it hadn't worked, so Seth suggested I try his mother's tea. She had quite a few pregnancies, Thursday, he'd said with a smile when I asked him if it was safe. All my mothers used it. I'd laughed at that, and then he winked at me. In the end, he made me the tea, boiling the water in the room's little kettle. It had tasted like licorice and coriander, and once I added some sugar, I hadn't minded at all. Did you drink it all weekend? Regina asked. I nodded. All right, she says, okay. Her face is pale, her eyelashes fluttering, and then she opens her rosebud mouth. What? And tells me a story, and I wish she could take it all back, swallow it into herself so I can pretend it's not so. I'm not so stupid. I'm not that gullible. I'm not that easily used. And we don't know what the story is because, God forbid, we tell a story in a coherent manner. And instead, an hour later, I leave the diner with nowhere to go. She decides to look up Seth's parents and she finds their obituaries. But she's also like, I am not going to find any information about them. The only things, you know, only Seth knows what really happened with everything. And then she's just spiraling and thinking about things and trying to remember why she likes Seth so much. And she realizes that she doesn't know anything about him. Oh my God, it's almost like I've said that 4 freaking times already. She's like, I don't know anything about him. I just fell for him because he made me feel important and he made me feel seen. And that's like really sad. And that just must be what his like prerogative is, to get women to trust him. And so then she gets like super mad at herself for believing everything that he has ever told her. And then we hear about Regina's story, which is just about a lot of like abuse and manipulation and all of the same stuff that we've kind of seen already happening through the book. So it's all just confirmation of everything that like she had been through. And then eventually, I don't know, she ends up going home. And then she goes home. She finally, I guess part of her plan, grand plan, she goes home. Her condo is trashed, and so she ends up cleaning it up. She goes in the room, like the first thing she does, and goes and finds the 9mm that her dad had gifted her. So she carries that around and she opens the window and she airs the place out and she calls the locksmiths. She's over Seth. This is all just falling apart so badly. We also learn about the story that Regina told Hannah at the diner, and it was by accident that she saw the emails from his father. Seth had forgotten to close out of the window when Regina sat down at the computer, and she was able to see them all. She said the emails were sent before Seth's father had killed his wife and then himself. The emails were convoluted. He was obviously having a break with reality, but then she couldn't find any responses because she's like, surely Seth would have like talked his dad off the ledge or tried to. But she can't find anything. And so then she confronts Seth about it, and then he gets mad, and then it's all downhill from there. They'd moved on from there, and for the first few months of her pregnancy, everything had been perfect. And then suddenly she'd miscarried. And then eventually he did suggest plural marriage because he wanted children. When Regina said no, he'd asked for a divorce and she'd given it to him, though he didn't stop coming around. He was paying half of her bills, as that had been the agreement when she'd given him the divorce. So when he came to Portland for work, he stayed at their old house, first in the guest room and then back in their bed. I'd almost seen shame on her face when she told me that they'd still had sex when he visited, even though he was married to another woman. She then told me that she had never known about Hannah, and I believed her. The week before my miscarriage, he'd started making me tea, she'd said. I thought it was strange because he had never been one to do much in the kitchen. He didn't even make coffee in the mornings, and then all of a sudden he's boiling water and seeping leaves like an expert. It didn't occur to me until you had mentioned it. And she's like, what's her face? Thursday, she's like, it could just be a coincidence. Regina had shaken her head. He was the oldest of his siblings, and he resented them, thought they took attention away from him. He told me that he had hated having to share the space with a bunch of toddlers. What are you saying? She just stared at me like she expected me to get it. And then she finally said, I think he's going to do the same thing to this other girl, Hannah. We have to stop him. I need a few days to find out where she is. Hey, what the fuck? Hey, what the fuck? Okay, we have 2 more chapters. Is that literally it? Oh my god, it really is 2 more chapters. Jesus. Okay, let me lock in and figure out what the heck is about to happen. I am mad. She gets a phone call from Regina. Regina has, in fact, found Hannah. She's like, I know where he's hiding her. We have to go. Goes over there. And along the way, she's rushing, she's speeding. She ends up getting pulled over by a cop and has the weirdest interaction. He comes up to her window. Ma'am, license and registration, please. I'm ready. I pass them through the window, willing him to look into my eyes. He does, though I can't see his hidden behind reflective glasses, the type that you see police wear in movies. He disappears back to his cruiser, my paper held in his hand. After a few minutes, he comes back. Do you know why I pulled you over? I was speeding, I say without hesitation. His face doesn't betray anything. He stares from behind his glasses, stony and expectant. I'm late. It's my fault. I totally deserve a ticket. Still nothing. I tap my finger on the wheel, wishing he'd hurried up and get on with things. He hands me my papers. Be more careful next time. That's all? I look at his badge. Officer Morales. Thank you, I say. You're all set. Have a good one. It takes me 10 minutes to merge back onto the highway, my heart still ringing in my chest. But once I am on my way, I almost feel good, better than I had before. I ease up on the gas and follow behind a semi, keeping to the speed limit this time. I hope this is relevant in the last 2 chapters. Otherwise, I'm going to be very confused about this interaction. The next, the section break in this next little bit, I drive across the bridge into the city, and then a quote that is highlighted by 1,100 people. A woman's greatest foe is sometimes her hope that she's imagined it all, that she herself is crazy rather than the circumstances of her life. Funny, the emotional responsibility of a woman is willing... What? Funny, the emotional responsibility a woman is willing to take on just to maintain an illusion. God damn, that's sad. And so she continues her GPS instructions to go to the place where Hannah is, per Regina, right? She ends up in this weird, dumpy, construction-y type area. I call Regina as I stand next to my car, but it goes straight to her voicemail. I leave a message, my voice shaking. Regina, I'm here at Hannah's. I was hoping you'd be here. I'm going in. I have to stop what's going on. So she goes inside, finds Hannah, says, I need to talk to you. It's very important. It's about Seth. Her lips press together and her forehead creases as she considers me. And then she opens the door into the apartment, and then she follows her in. And her and Hannah are about to have a conversation. And so then she says, her hand automatically moves to cup her belly. I remember that gesture so well, always conscious of the life your body was nurturing. Something loosens in my chest, relief. She's still pregnant. So who was the lady you saw at the house the other day? You told me he hit you, Hannah. I say, is that true? No, you told me he hit me Thursday, she says. I tried to tell you it wasn't true, but you wouldn't hear me. That's not true. I saw the bruises. Hannah looks stricken. She glances around the room like she's looking for an escape. He was angry I found you and that I came to see you. When I got home after the last time you and I saw each other, I confronted him about you. Her eyes stay wide, but her lips stay stubbornly closed, like she's afraid to say a word about it. We fought and it turned physical, and the next thing I knew, I was in the hospital. Hannah shakes her head like she can't believe it. You know something is wrong with him, how he was raised, the way he asked us to live. Asked us to live? What are you talking about? There's the sound of a key in a lock and the front door swings open. My throat closes up and suddenly I feel like I can barely breathe in this tiny apartment. I claw at my neck. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm hoping to find there. A necklace, perhaps? Something to hold on to and distract myself? These are such worthless sentences. Seth walks through the door. Plastic bags hooked on all his fingers. At first he doesn't see me. He walks toward Hannah, a relaxed smile on his face, and leans down to kiss her. I got the canned type of pears you like, he says, and then he stops abruptly when he sees the expression on her face. What is it? Her head swivels in my direction and Seth follows her gaze to where I'm standing. The look on his face is incredulous, like he can't believe I found them here. He sets the bags down and a can of pears rolls out and across the floor. Hannah's pixie face is ashen, her lips a flurry of white as she stares between us. I'm here for Hannah, I say, to warn her about you. How many times is lips said in this book? 61? Oh, that includes the word slips though. Lipstick. Oh no, slipped is only said like once or twice. And clips. Almost all of these are literally just talking about like lips. Good freaking God, dude. Talk about something else. In one chapter, in one scene, you're describing one person's lips and what they're doing to them 4 times over, bro. Come on. Anyway, so she's like, yeah, I'm here to tell Hannah all about you. Seth marches over to where I'm standing and grabs me by the arm before I can move away. The surprise he wore on his face just moments ago is replaced by something else. And he is obviously super angry, and he's like, how did you find us? I'm calling the police. You're stalking us. You're a danger to yourself and to Hannah. My mouth opens and closes in protest, but I'm too shocked to really say anything. Stalking? How could he act like I'm a danger to Hannah when he's the one who's been hitting her? You're too far gone, he continues. It's over. It's been over for a while. I've told Hannah everything. She knows about us. Knows about us? Knows what? A pain shoots through my forehead and I narrow my eyes, blinking against it. I don't look at Seth. I pretend he's not there. Hannah, what has Seth told you about me? I told her the truth. It's over, Thursday. I didn't ask you. I asked Hannah. When I went to the house, you pretended to not know me. You knew who I was. You came to our house pretending to be someone else. You were stalking us. What? You're right. I did come to your house. I was curious about who you were. I knew Seth had a relationship with 2 other women outside of our marriage, and I wanted to see you. Her head jerks like I've slapped her. What are you talking about? Seth and I are still married. You're insane. Her voice shakes. I look at Seth, straining my eyes so wide it feels like they're going to pop. This is what you told her? I ask him. She never knew anything about the plural marriage. So was that just the story for me then? And then all of a sudden, Hannah's like, look what you've done. She says to him, look what you brought into our lives. What are you talking about? What is happening? And so he goes on to say, she's not well. She just got out of the mental hospital. I'm sorry, Hannah. I love you, only you. And we go back to the whole bruises thing. And then he's pissed off that she would accuse him of abusing his wife. And again, the whole idea of like, I didn't do that. I never said he did that. You're imagining things. And it goes on to even further say that I got the black eye when we were getting it on. I just didn't want to say it because that was awkward. Oh. Awesome. That's so cool. And so then she turns to Hannah and she says, why is my name on your house? I ask. The house that you were living in belongs to me. Hannah turns her face away, but Seth's eyes bug. Because it's your house, Thursday. Your grandmother left it to you. No, I scream, but somewhere deep in my mind, I know it's true. I'd already owned the condo when my grandmother passed away, and I'd offered Seth to use of the house while he commuted back and forth from Portland to Seattle. He told me he'd do the renovations I wanted for free in exchange for staying there while in Portland. A cry escapes my throat. I lift my hand to my neck. My breath is coming out in jagged gasps. How had I not known it was my house, my grandmother's? Hannah had given me a tour and I'd followed her around the rooms like a stranger. Then he calls her crazy. She says, I'm not. And he says, of course you are. You've always been crazy. You were obsessed with my ex-wife, just like you're obsessed with Hannah. We were a mistake, Thursday. That's all. I liked effing you. Are you hearing me? That's all you were to me. Okay, oh my God, what a horrible thing to ever be told in your entire life, but also what a horrible thing to say to somebody that's like obviously having a mental health crisis, but also I don't blame him if what he's saying is true and she's stalking them and like not snapping into reality. You know what I'm saying? Maybe some harsh words are needed, but also that doesn't seem like a good idea. So he's like, you crazy person. And then Hannah interrupts all of a sudden and she's like, why didn't you tell me it was her house? I was going to. After I ended it with Thursday, I didn't want to upset you, the baby. Please, Hannah, it was all a mistake. I'm so sorry. After he ended it with Thursday, so then Hannah did know that it was a ongoing relationship between him and Thursday. What do you mean? I was going to tell you after I ended it with Thursday, but she was living in the house and she's pregnant with your kid. What's happening? And then obviously being called a mistake is very frustrating to Thursday, so she yells it. A mistake? With what? I scream, I'm your wife. The room goes quiet as both Seth and Hannah stare at me in horror. No, Thursday. I hear from behind me, you're his mistress. You were his mistress and you offered to let him live in your house with his new wife. That's not true, but it is true. I remember now. When Seth married Hannah, my renters had just moved out. The house was open. I'd offered it to them. I thought it would buy me favor with Seth. I'd be the giving, selfless wife. I stare at Regina, tears in my eyes. You were the reason our marriage ended, she says. You had an affair with Seth. Regina told me everything Thursday, Seth says, that you came to her office pretending to be someone else and that you forced your way into her home. Your crazy theories about how I caused your miscarriage and how you insisted my parents are alive? You told me your parents are alive. They didn't come to our wedding. You said it was because your father was in the hospital. No. I said that's why they didn't come to my wedding with Regina. I told you the story. No. Yes, Thursday. Oh my God. Oh my God. Why would you do this? And so then Regina speaks up and she's like, is everyone all right? She asks, looking from Seth to Hannah. Regina, I say. She cuts me off. She left a message on my phone, said she was coming here. I didn't know. I was worried. What is happening? She goes on to say, I called the police. I told them that you were coming here with the intent to harm Seth or Hannah, that you'd threatened to do so. My whole body is trembling now. I look at Hannah, who's crying fat tears. I think of Regina's dingy apartment, her bitterness, the things she told me about Seth. She wants to make me look crazy. You effing beezy, I say, walking toward her. I don't know what I intend to do, but then she's in front of me and my hands are around her neck. It was a mistake. Seth is on me in a flash, grabbing my wrists and pulling me away. I struggle against him, kicking out and feel my foot catch him in the knee. He grunts in pain and falls toward me, pushing me to the ground. I reach for the gun. I didn't realize she had a gun on her. The one I tucked into my waistband just in case. My hand is trapped, my fingers touching the cold metal. Seth's weight is on my upper body. I hear Hannah screaming. Regina is yelling my name. I can't let him hurt Hannah's baby. I struggle to pull the gun free, yanking it from the confines of my jeans. My finger finds the trigger. As Seth's knee comes down hard on my stomach, I pull the trigger. I hear a loud pop, and then Regina screaming out, telling Hannah to call 911. The air whooshes out of me. At the same time, I feel blood on my hands. Seth collapses on top of me. The gun is trapped between us. His blood pools warm on my belly. I can barely breathe. And it's in that loss of breath that I remember Seth approaching me at the coffee shop, him telling me that he was married, my initial anger, and then our affair, getting pregnant, and then his wife Regina leaving him. I remember thinking he'd marry me now that Regina was out of the picture, that we'd have a family, but then I lost the baby. Oh God, waking up in the hospital and the doctor telling me that I'd never be able to have another child. The look on Seth's face. And then he'd left me for Hannah, some slut he met who was young enough to be infertile enough to have his babies. They were both from Utah. She was 10 years his junior, but I begged him to come back to me. I told him that I didn't care if he married Hannah, that I still wanted him, and so began our second affair. We're going into the final chapter of the book. I don't even think I want to read this on my own. I think I need to continue to share this moment with you live because I'm upset. And I need you to be upset with me, please. She'd shot Seth, and so she got, punished for that. And she was able to plead insanity because Regina had set her up. Regina had set me up, of course, to getting me to believe and accuse Seth of causing both of our miscarriages, but this turned out to help my case. My lawyer got me off on insanity, and they sent me back to Queen County, this time for a much longer stay. I was relieved, actually, afraid they'd send me somewhere new. During my first meeting with Dr. Steinbridge, just a day after I arrived, he told me that I'd been stalking Seth and his new wife for quite some time. He also told me that Seth's ex-wife Regina had corroborated the story by saying that I'd shown up at her work in her home, forcing myself inside and demanding information about them. Regina produced the voicemail that I'd left her right before I charged into Seth and Hannah's condo. Doctor played it for me as I sat in the leather armchair across from him. She just listened and didn't deny anything. You do not bear full responsibility for what happened, Dr. Steinbridge said to me. Seth is a troubled individual. The way he grew up, the abuse he claims he suffered. He cheated on both his wives and emotionally manipulated you. He used you and played into your denial. But we aren't here to deal with Seth's issues. We're here to deal with yours. When you realized what was happening in your relationship with him, your mind created an alternative reality to deal with both the death of your unborn baby and the fact Seth was moving on with someone else. And then the doctor goes on to say the police also found the account you created under the name Will Moffitt, the one you used to get access to Regina. Yes, but I only did that because I thought she was cheating on him. He looked at me sympathetically. What about Seth's parents? They sent me cards. I have them. The cards were part of your case. Your attorney presented them to the jury as evidence when you pleaded guilty for reason of insanity. You wrote them. They brought in handwriting analysis to prove it. So she was writing her own holiday cards back from the parents? Of note, so I think I said that earlier, she would send off holiday letters to them and never got responses. She did technically, but it was literally just a card that had their names on it. It wasn't anything actual meaningful or deep or you know what I'm saying, personal in any way. It was just their names. Just kind of weird. And then it matched your handwriting. It's right there, Thursday, right in front of you. You and Seth were never married. He had an affair with you when he was married to his first wife, Regina. Regina left him when she found out you got pregnant. He paused to let that sink in, but you lost the baby and that caused you to enter a psychotic episode. I feel like we've established this 5 chapters ago. Seth had not caused our miscarriages, but Regina made me believe that he had. Why? Regina had lost a baby. That all came out in the trial, but much earlier than mine at 8 weeks. She testified that she caught Seth tampering with her birth control. I'd looked back at Regina at that very moment as she sat on the other side of the courtroom, remembering her confession in the diner that day, and I'd seen her face pale. Once I made Seth the enemy in my mind, it was so easy to believe what Regina had fed me. My baby had been healthy one day, moving, kicking, and then he just stopped. There was no medical reason found. Sometimes those things just happen. Babies just stop living. Okay, that was a sad sentence. Dr. Steinbridge, I say during one session, isn't it funny that Seth never mentioned any of this the last time I was here? He never claimed to be your husband, Thursday. When you came in last time, it's because Seth tried to end things with you. He admitted as much to me when I spoke to him privately, that he was married to someone else and that you were his mistress. His wife, Hannah, figured out who you were on the last night you saw her. Do you remember? Seth figured out where you were and texted her. He told her to leave right away. But when I got back to my apartment, he was there. His hand was beat up. Yes, he claims he punched a wall when he found out you were stalking his wife. You attacked him when he told you it was over. I imagine he felt a sense of duty in visiting you after that. But he came to pick me up to take me home. No, the doctor says, your father picked you up and took you home. Are you kidding me? My father came to see me once after I got here. He doesn't seem to care about me. Thursday, I was there. Your father came, brought you clothes, stayed with you for a week until you crushed Ambien into his dinner and snuck out to drive to Portland. No, I say. My limbs feel odd, like they're not part of me. The doctor has it wrong, or he keeps lying. Maybe Seth got to him, paid him off to keep quiet. You were on heavy medication and still suffering from delusions. I want to laugh. How crazy do they think I am? Mistaking my father for Seth? I stand up suddenly, and my movement so abrupt, my chair falls backward and hits the ground with a metallic smack. Dr. Steinbridge stares up at me from where he's sitting, his hands folded calmly on his desk. Close your eyes, Thursday. See it again, but as it really was. And so she does, and she's like, oh yeah, it was my dad. Seth hadn't come to get me because he told me our affair was over and he'd gone back to his wife. Seth had abandoned me for a second time. I wasn't enough. I deserved to be alone. And then she starts screaming and being sad. And then she has a flashback to her first year as a nurse with a very traumatic patient. Yeah, about a guy that got his skull crushed. Okay. My brain is still intact in a traditional way. I did not fall from a roof, though it seems I fell from some height. What? Though it seems I fell at some height from reality? Dr. Steinberg Bridge has diagnosed me with a list of things I'd be embarrassed to repeat. The bottom line is that I have an unhealthy brain. Okay, and then Regina has requested to visit you? And she's like, I want to talk to her. What? She goes, sees Regina, and Regina's talking to her and asking how you're doing. You know, what's up? You feeling okay? And she's like, yeah, I never intended for things to go as far as they did. Then why, I ask? You ruined my life. I wanted you to pay for that. Oh, interesting. My thoughts run ahead, spiral back, and then sink into a mire of remorse and guilt. I hadn't known I was ruining her life, or had I? The reality I made up ruined everyone's lives, but Regina wasn't as innocent as Hannah had been. She'd used my weakness against me. She'd set me up. I'd been so eager to blame someone for the death of my baby that I'd never questioned her story. Regina, so eager to punish me, had never imagined the outcome it would have. Okay, this is interesting. I wanted to make you look crazy. I didn't know that you were crazy. You think you're not? I shoot back. You think it's normal to do what you did? I may be the one in here, but at least I can admit what I did. You told me he scared you to get me to further believe he was abusing Hannah. You made me believe he caused your miscarriage and mine, all to get me to go there that night. She stares at me, her mouth thinning into a straight line of denial. Of course she didn't want to think she was as bad as me. You're the one who brought the gun. You shot Seth. I wanted you punished for ruining my life. I didn't want Seth to get hurt. Yes, but you could have helped me. You chose to use me instead. You handed me the delusion. What the hell? Were you lying when you told me that Seth was violent with you? You said he pushed you against a wall. No, that wasn't a lie. Seth has a temper. Okay. And so then she thinks of Hannah's bruises again, and then she's like, I wonder if Hannah was lying to me to protect him. I suppose I'll never know the truth. There's comfort in knowing that due to his injuries, he's not able to physically hurt a woman again. I'm so glad we both got away from him. I say, no, Regina says, this isn't a little club. I'm not like you, she laughs. You're crazy. And then I think of the patient with the broken brain, his skull smashed to pieces, his life altered forever. He was a different kind of broken than I am, just like Regina, except I have been sent here to pay and she is still lying. Her laughter hurts my ears. I cover them with my palms, pressing hard, trying to block out the sound. It's the same as that day in my kitchen, Seth calling me crazy, looking at me with disgust in his eyes. I'm shaken when I rear back, slamming my head into Regina's nose. The force slams my jaw together. I bite through my bottom lip and feel the shards of a broken tooth. She screams, a hand reaching to touch the spray of blood rushing from her nose. I jump over the table, knocking her to her back. Her head hits the floor, and I see the shock and panic in her eyes wide in fear. Robbie didn't know what was happening to him, which is the patient. The patient didn't know what was happening to him when he lay on his back, his brain dying, but Regina will. I cradle her head between my hands and slam it into the floor. I can hear her shouting, so much shouting. Help, someone screams. She's going to kill her. I am helping. I'm helping myself. That's the book. That's the book. So she's not like totally making this all up, right? I mean, ultimately Regina was still sleeping with him. It sounds like he actually was bouncing between all their houses and stuff. It just wasn't, she wasn't the one that was married, but like everything else seemed to be pretty true, right? He was talking to these 3 women, sleeping around with all 3 of them. Like, none of that's incorrect. Like, she wasn't wrong for that part. Obviously, she had a little bit of delusion, given like who he was married to and living and forgetting all of that stuff. But is this just a case of like they all suck and all of them have something crazy going on upstairs? You know what I'm saying? Like all of them are going through something? Is everybody a liar? Just every single one of them? Nobody's living in reality? I think Seth is just a monster and needs to be taken out back. But like what else is there to do, right? I hope Hannah divorces him. Good God. But then also Regina isn't she the one? She's the one that supplied the tea story, like, she asked from the jump. Hold on, let me Google that actually. Because didn't she initiate that conversation? Like, how would she have known that hello? How would Regina have known that Thursday drank tea from his mom? And, like, know to ask that and bring that up in that particular conversation, right? Yeah, I can't find what exactly I'm looking for, but I'm like, if she initiated that, she knew something about the tea. In which case, I'm like, maybe that is something that she just expected him to do, but he's not a cook or anything like that. So why would she expect him to randomly be comforting to his mistress about her being pregnant? I feel like nothing is making sense. None of these narratives are making any sense. I don't know what the fuck I just read, but I'm not happy about it, actually. And not that I ever planned on it, but I'm definitely 100% never reading another Tarynn Fisher again. I'm so upset. You got any thoughts? What are you thinking? What are we feeling right now, guys? What's going on? I don't know. I gotta go. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate you guys so much. I love, 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 love you. And I will see you in the next one. I have no idea what it'll be. Don't ask. You'll know when I know. Okay, I'll see you guys. Thanks.